I'm glad I won.
The Hamiltonian, it's one of the most prestigious races.
It's quite a thrill. This is one of the biggest thrills of my life.
We delivered. The horse delivered. It was amazing. I can't believe it.
I am stunned. I'm absolutely stunned.
This is obviously the pinnacle.
Just something that I can't explain.
This is just an absolute dream come true.
It feels good now, but I'm sure it's going to feel even better tomorrow.
For me to do it, this is my moment.
I might have got a little excited.
Winbag Farm of Ontario is home to outstanding sires, including a three-time millionaire pacer tattoo artist who is new in 2025, the last great son of the legendary Sub Beach Somewhere and multiple stakes champion Beachglass, Meadowlands Pace and Ontario Sire Stakes champion Lawless Shadow, and the richest pacing stallion in all of harness racing history, the great Hall of Famer Mick Wicked. Also standing at Winbag Farm, Archangel, Better Than Cheddar, Betting Line, My MVP, and Trixton. For more information, visit winbagfarm.com.
Preferred Equine Online has proven time and time again to be the industry's online provider, selling the highest priced horses in all categories online, including racehorses, broodmares, yearlings, weanlings, and stallion shares. Full service, trusted and transparent. Contact Preferred for your online sales needs at www.preferredequineonline.com or call 914-773-7777. The Lexington Experience. Nothing else compares. Featured at the beautiful Fasig-Tipton Sales Complex, along with Grand Circuit Racing at the Red Mile. Sales have produced world champions and divisional winners year after year, including the last 5 Hamiltonian winners: Carl, Tactical Approach, Cool Papa Bell, Captain Corey, and Ramona Hill. Make your plans to join us this fall from Monday, September 29th to Friday, October 3rd.
Welcome to Harness Racing Updates Tuesday Training. We are continuing with our 2025 tour in New Jersey. With me now is Nancy Takter, and not the most ideal conditions to do Tuesday Training. It's raining out, but basically the show must go on, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think historically, out of the 11 Breeders' Crowns that I've won, most of them have been in the rain. So I always tell everybody we're practicing for Breeders' Crown Day today.
I am so glad you mentioned that, because I actually was going to talk about Winners Bet winning the Breeders' Crown. I was watching it the other day, and there's really nothing like that Breeders' Crown smile. I mean, you're like ear to ear in the winner's circle. You look so happy. It is not an easy task to win a Breeders' Crown.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's at the end of the year. The horses have had a long season. You know, kudos to all the trainers that win Breeders' Crowns, because you've managed to have your horse survive the entire season and then come out on a night like that when there's a lot of high pressure and a lot of things can go wrong, and to make it to the winner's circle is really satisfying.
And getting back to Winners Bet, so of course Dan Patch Award winner, the Older Trotter Male of the Year for 2024. He's a stallion now, and you got to be proud to like train a horse, and his book is full and closed.
Yeah, he was such a nice horse. I was so happy to have the opportunity to train him last year. He made a big step forward as an aged horse. I kind of, you know, a little bit wanted to race him again this year, but I understand that the decision was made to stand him stud at Blue Chip, and he's going to do a fabulous job as a stallion. You know, not only did he have unbelievable looks, and his gait was pretty much about as flawless as you can get. He had really good desire and just a really nice horse to be around. He was an absolute pleasure.
All right, well, let's talk about some horses coming back. And you were talking about winning big races in the rain. We'll talk about Carl winning the Hamiltonian in a downpour. Still makes it extremely special to win that second Hamiltonian in a row, right?
Yeah, that was super exciting. When they went out on the track, it wasn't raining, and I'm like, are they waiting for the rain? And he had the one hole, so he was out on the track for quite a while, and I'm like, this rain is coming, this rain is coming. And he had flip-flops on, which are ideally not the perfect shoe for a wet, rainy track. So, you know, I'm like, let's get this race going, let's get it going. And then it just like started torrential downpouring, and I'm like, great. If I could have changed something right now, it may have been his shoes, but everything worked out great. And Obviously, it was really nice to get the back-to-back and nice for Yannick to get his first one. So it was just a fairy tale. I guess the rain just added to everything, and all of us just standing there in the torrential downpour, and Carl standing there like the true champ he is. So very special moment for all of us.
So how is he coming back? Because he's going to race again this year.
Yeah, so he's back in full training. He's training absolutely great. He actually, we've been sending him to Walner to breed a few times a week, so we've collected frozen semen, probably enough for like 75, 80 mares. So we're going to focus on racing him now. He's done with the breeding part. Just happy to see that his numbers during collection were super. So looking forward to him standing stud in the future, and hopefully we have a really good year on the track too.
All right, let's move on to a 3-year-old pacing colt. It's Captain Optimistic, won the Governor's Cup, and I know you're really excited about him this year.
Yeah, I'm super excited about him. He showed a lot of speed last year. Was a little bit of trouble trying to get him to go straight at some points, but I think we've kind of accomplished that over the winter. He's been training really nicely. I'm going to take him to the Meadowlands and just train him a slow mile tomorrow, actually, and then hopefully he'll qualify in about 2 weeks, but all systems go at this point. He's grown up, he's filled out, and I think that if he lives up to his potential, it could be a lot of fun watching him race this year.
I know you're really excited about your 3-year-old trotting fillies, and we're going to start with Champagne Problems. Of course, she was a Dan Patch winner for the 2-year-old trotting filly of the year, and we had her on Twos in Training last year. She was a $35,000 yearling, so I know she's special to you.
Yeah, she's a super nice filly. She's coming back really nice. I'm really happy with how she's training. Like she was on Twos in Training last year, so at least I had one right last year. Well, we did all my cheaper horses, so she excelled off of her price tag. She made over $500,000 last year and was named Dan Patch Award winner. So looking forward to her racing this year. She grew up, filled out a little bit, and I think she's going to have a good year.
What about Deja Blue, a daughter of Atlanta, and she won 4 out of 8 starts last year?
Yeah, she's a really nice filly. She's a lot like her mom, little gritty type of filly. She's coming back super, really happy with her, and she's probably going to qualify in like 2 weeks or so, getting ready for the New Jersey Sire Stakes, and hopefully she can fill her mom's shoes that her mom had at 3 would be really nice. You can send her a memo if you'd like, because she won the Hambletonian at 3, but I think she's going to have a nice year ahead of her, and I'm really happy with her.
Another filly you have that has a very famous mom is Spicy Nice. Her mom is Maven, so let's hear about her.
Yeah, Spicy's coming back really nice too. Maven was such a great horse. She raced in the Prix d'Amérique and the Elite Lop and has a really big resume. Spicy is coming back super. She grew up a little bit. She's not a very big filly as far as stature goes, but she did grow a little bit taller, so I'm happy about that. But she's got a really big stride, and she covers a lot of ground, and she's very, very determined.
Okay, and finally with our 3-year-old trotting fillies, my BFF Annie, she was $435,000 yearling, and actually she had a win, right? Like she had a win at Lexington, and then you qualified her, and then that was it. So, and before we move on, I want to read a quote from Nancy Takter on social media. Quote, "She's going to give me gray hairs, but she's insanely fast."
All of that's still true. She's super fast. We actually trained her at the Meadowlands last weekend, and she jogged in 55 all by herself. She's not bad in a group of horses. She behaves well. It's just she needs to be in a good mood because some days she will just refuse to go to the track. So we're working on that. And she's been really good of recent, and she was perfect behaved when we were at the Meadowlands. So I'm hoping that continues. And every day we're working with her, and I lunge her a lot and try to take out all the cowboy tricks that I can find on YouTube to make her behave and realize that she's not the boss. But we are getting forward. We're making forward progress. So like I said, she is probably, out of all my fillies, and I have a really strong group of fillies, by far the fastest one. So it's just going to be a matter of her behaving, and then if she does that, I think the sky's the limit for her.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to our freshman class from Nancy Stable. We'll start with our 2-year-old filly pacer that we're going to talk about, JK Fierce Lady. You know a lot about her because you actually trained her mom, JK First Lady, and her granddam, right? Okay.
Yeah, her granddam is JK. She's the lady who was Horse of the Year and World Champion, and her mom, JK, First Lady, was a World Champion, so she's really got some big shoes to fill. She's a really nice Captaintreacherous filly, doing everything that she really should be doing at this point, and I'm really excited about her. And she's, you know, homebred for the Cats family, and they love that family, so hopefully she continues to do well for them.
Okay, now we're going to move on to a pacing colt, the Bluegrass. The consigner is Kentuckiana Farm, a tall, dark stranger out of Dance Blue. You know a little bit about this one, too. You trained both the sire and the dam.
Yes, Dance Blue is a really nice filly that I actually trained as a 3-year-old. My dad actually trained her at 2, and he didn't really like her, so he told Marvin Katz to send her to me, and I did really well with her at 3, and she finished second in the Breeders' Crown at 3 and had a really nice season. The Bluegrass is a really nice horse. I actually trained a brother to him, Blue Lou, a couple years back that was really fast, showed a lot of high speed at 2. I think the Bluegrass is a little bit more complete than Blue Lou was. He's a little bit more manageable than he was, and I'm really happy with him. And I think people are going to be surprised with the Tall Dark Strangers this year. I know people were a little down on him last year, but I really like the ones that I have this year, and I think that he's going to have a good year too.
Okay. Another pacing colt we have is Caviart Anders, $180,000 Lexington purchase, consigned by Anvil and Lace. So a son of Caviart, Audrey, who you trained, and she's a daughter of Darlin's Delight. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. I had bought Caviart Audrey from the sale for Caviart Farm for them to add to their broodmare band in the future. She had a nice 2-year-old season. She won the She's a Great Lady. She was a COVID baby. It was COVID year, so it was an interesting year for sure. And you know, she put together a nice 2-year-old season. We had a little trouble with her at 3, so she was bred. And Caviart Anders is a really nice colt. He's very consistent, does his work, has that high speed that a lot of Sweet Lou's have, and I'm really happy with him.
All right, we're gonna. Before we move on, actually, we have a theme. Remember last year we had our theme where it was like, I don't know, you said this number.
It was under like 40,000, I think.
Yeah,
the theme
was
was
something like that. Yeah. And our theme this year, if you haven't caught on yet, we're doing a very personal theme, right?
Yeah, so I decided it's so hard for me to pick horses because I have 40 yearlings and I don't want to step on any owner's toes and then be like, why didn't you pick my horse? You know, my horse is training. And I have a lot of nice horses that I'm not going to talk about that are training really well too. But so this year I decided that a fun theme would be to kind of highlight horses that had a parent that I trained or a parent that trained on this farm when my dad had this farm. It's actually the 25-year anniversary that we've been on this farm. So the farm is such a big, I think it's my biggest tool. Like the best thing that I have in my arsenal to train horses is this farm. It has absolutely everything. We have a straight track, a jog sand track, water, saltwater spa, water treadmill, 5/8 track. We have everything that you need to succeed, and I really wanted to highlight that, and I'm really thankful that my parents kept the farm open for me.
I love it. Okay, we're going to move on to our trotting fillies now. Miss Brittany, a Don't Let 'em out of Tough Girl Lindy, a $29,000 yearling purchase. And now this horse was sold as Candy Girl Can, and you trained the sire. Let's talk about the name first. I have a feeling I know where the name came from, but I'm going to let you say it.
So the name actually comes from 2 places a little bit. So I have a really good friend, Brittany Graham, that works for Trackside down in New Zealand. She and I have become really friendly, and she took me on this great trip to New Zealand and Australia this year. You know, she showed me around, did everything. So I was like, you know what, I should name a horse after Brittany. And then I was like, well, what horse am I going to name after Brittany? So Candy Girl Can was actually the last horse ever sold in public auction for Brittany Farms. And unknown, she's from the Allegro family, which is Higher Love, who that family is the first family that my dad ever trained for Brittany Farms back when I was like 8 years old. So there's a little bit of history. So it was perfect to name her Miss Brittany in honor of my friend Brittany and also for Brittany Farms.
Yeah. Brittany Graham, also love her to death. She is so talented, does so many on-camera things, and she's such a great horsewoman. So, yeah, I'm so glad you named a horse after. I saw it and I was like, that's for Brittany Graham. Yeah. All right, so La Mancha, a Walner out of Manchego. This is a homebred. I mean, we could talk about Manchego forever. $3 million. She's just great. I mean, you got to be proud. And this is her first foal.
Yeah, this is her first foal, so obviously very special to everybody that was involved with Manchego. And if you were to like put Manchego in a Xerox machine and hit print, like La Mancha would come out. She is identical to her mother. She even gives you the same side eye that her mom used to give me all the time on the track. So she reminds me so much of her mom. A little bit differently gaited than her mom, but she's a Walner, so she has that Walner blood in her a little bit more, but she's super nice. She does everything right on the track. She's very determined like her mom was, so hopefully, I'm not going to say that she's going to make over $3 million in Tron 49 flat like her mom did, because nobody else has really ever done that, but she's super nice, and I think she's going to have a good career ahead of her.
All right. So we've got another Walner here, a Patrona, $460,000 Harrisburg yearling, sold at Sorcery Hanover. Now, this is a half-sister to Manchego.
Yeah, so she doesn't really 100% fit the theme. There's another trotting colt that doesn't 100% fit the theme either, but Manchego is she's Manchego. She's one of the greatest horses ever in the world, and I'm just so fortunate to have been the trainer of her in the later part of her career. So I wanted to honor her. Patrona's really nice filly. She's big and strong. She covers ground really nicely, and I think she's going to have a really good season ahead of her, and it'll be interesting to see when Patrona and La Mancha match up, because it's going to be a little bit of a family rivalry, but they're both very talented.
All right, we'll move on to our trotting colts now. We've got Siggie out of Ready for Money, who, of course, you trained the sire there, $55,000. Ohio selected. I love this. So you're everywhere. Consigner is Winterwood Farm, and this is a half-brother to Uncle Peter.
Yeah, so Uncle Peter obviously was trained by my dad, so he was at this farm, and Siggie is a really nice horse. He reminds me a lot of his dad, Ready for Money. Ready for Money was a really, really nice horse, and I think people sometimes forget a little bit about him because he was a 3-year-old during COVID year, so not a lot of people actually got to the track to see him, but he came back as an aged horse and had a nice season at 4. This is his first crop. I have 2. I love them. They're both super nice gaited, nice to deal with. And I think that Ready for Money is going to have a really big impact in Ohio. And I'm excited to bring Siggie to Ohio to race too.
Now, were you actually at the sale bidding in Ohio? You were there, or did you send somebody?
Brian Montgomery was there, and he bid him in for us. But John Fielding, obviously was a partner in Ready for Money, so we were excited to go try and find a Ready for Money because we wanted to support him.
So we'll move on to drinking problems, of bar hopping. This is another modest price, $37,000 from Lexington, sold as Here's My Take, and the consigner is Kentuckiana Farms.
Yeah, so Drinking Problems is Ellen Marcus's horse for 2025. So we had champagne problems, and then we were like, you have to name this horse. So we decided on Drinking Problems because he's a bar hopping, who my dad trained, and obviously Drinking Problems and bar hopping kind of went together. So that's how he got his name. But he's a really nice colt. He's a brother to Green Shoe. So for $37,000, he was definitely worth a shot. And he's training superly nice. I'm really happy with him. He's dual eligible, so I think he's going to, I don't know if he's going to make a lot of money for my kids this year like she did, but hopefully he finds the winner's circle at least once or twice.
All right, now let's move on to Pommard Walner out of the Ice Dutchess, who you trained, and this is a $450,000 Harrisburg purchase.
Yeah, Pommard's a really nice colt. He's a big colt, so I would look for him maybe a little bit later in the season just because he needs to mature and kind of just get strong enough to carry his big body. The Ice Dutchess was a pretty good pretty big filly too, maybe not tall, but a little heavy. So he definitely inherited that from her. But he also inherited a lot of her good traits. He's very fast. So I'm just going to take my time with him because I think that his best racing is probably going to come at 3, but I think he's going to have a really good 2-year-old season as well.
Okay. And by the way, the consignor's Peninsula Farm, and we'll move on to Miguel. A name change here because he was sold as Aspen, and we'll talk about the name first. I feel like Miguel is probably for one of your favorite caretakers.
Yeah, so Carl's caretaker is Miguel, and Miguel is Carl's brother. So in order to kind of honor Miguel and the great job that he did with Carl, the owners and I decided that Miguel would be the perfect name for this horse. So the name change was made, and now I have Miguel times 2.
Oh, that's so funny. So the consignor is Crawford Farms, and now this was a $200,000 Lexington purchase. And when you say, okay, so Carl is the half-brother, and also my BFF Fanny is a half-brother to Miguel. I mean, how much do they all look alike? You know, because there's 3 now half-siblings.
Yeah, it was actually funny because they were all kind of out on the courtyard the other day, and I was looking at them, and you could see traits in all of them where they're kind of, you know, similar. Miguel and my BFF Annie are the same color, where Carl's darker, but you know, one thing they all 3 have is a really nice gait, and they have a really good gait behind, which gives them a lot of power. So I'm really happy with Miguel. He's a Propulsion, which this is his 2nd crop on the track it'll be. So, you know, I think he had kind of a limited crop last year, so we don't really know much about the Propulsions yet, but I think that Miguel's going to have a good year. I'm happy with him.
I'm so glad you mentioned that Propulsion. I mean, that horse is like, I mean, in Europe, he won just about everything. Yeah. And so, I mean, and he was what, Swedish Horse of the Year? And I don't know, gosh, what has he made, like $4 million? I'm just throwing that out there. It's something like that. Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Like, so you're not really sure, but you're going to take a chance on a stallion that you're like, let's see.
Yeah, I mean, Propulsion was a Muscle Hill, and Tactical Landing's a Muscle Hill. So you have the same type of bloodlines in there, but I like Propulsion. I mean, he was a great racehorse, so there's no reason why Propulsion wouldn't have a nice offspring. So we'll have to see how it goes. But like I said, I'm really happy with him right now, and he reminds me of Carl some days and some days not, but not in a bad way. I mean, it's so hard when you have nice horses like Carl and Manchego and Tall Dark Stranger. It's not really fair to really compare other horses to them. They kind of have to write their own history too. But I think that Miguel will be able to do that.
Okay. I know you got to get back to work. You still have, how many horses do you have to train? I know you had 65 you were training today or something crazy like that.
We have a lot of trainers today because we have a lot qualifying tomorrow, so I kind of want to give everybody the day off tomorrow. So rain or shine, we've got to get the job done today.
Well, you look so excited about this year. I know, like, overall, like 1 to 10, what's your vibe?
Well, I'm really hard on myself, so that's hard. But I'm looking at like a solid 8.5 right now, 9, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But I'm optimistic about the year, and I think we're going to have a really good year. I really like this class of 2-year-olds. You know, they're all really professional, and like I said, we didn't get to talk about some of my favorites because they didn't fit the theme. So you'll have to look for them on the racetrack.
All right. Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thank you.